Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network, as we come to you on this Memorial Day weekend on Sunday night after the Knicks showed that old Nick tenacity, that resiliency, and after probably most Nick fans thought they were dead in the water when Indiana was running them out of the building in the second quarter, putting a 13-0 run together, taking a 20-point lead. But the Knicks come back and now are right back in the series. We'll get to where the series stands in a minute, but first things first, game three. I told you the other night when they went down 2-zip that I didn't think that this series was over, that I didn't expect the Knicks to lie down, and I thought that we had a lot more twists and turns to go in this series because that is, without question, the nature of an Indiana Knicks series. Plus, the Knicks are so much better on the road. Why? I don't know, but they're just so much better, so much more efficient, so much tougher on the road than they are at home. And they were again this evening. But tonight was different. Tonight tested them as a team and tested the coach because they not only got down, they were bad. I mean, in the first half, Brunson has 4 fouls, some of them just ridiculously stupid. Towns has 3 fouls, just ridiculously stupid. Okay. The bench gets outscored 23-7 because McConnell does anything he wants. All right. Knicks had 7 assists. The starters had 2. Brunson had 1. The Villanova threesome was Villanova. Okay. They were 6 for 22 from the floor in the first half. I mean, Brunson was terrible. Bridges was worse. They were hideous. But they chipped away right before the half. I learned a long time ago that in any big basketball game, whether it's an NCAA tournament game, whether it's an NBA playoff game, the 3 minutes going into the half and the 3 minutes coming out of the half are absolutely critical. How you finish the first half, how you come out and set a tone in the second half is incredibly important. The Knicks chipped away at the end of the first half. Anobi hit a 3, and he had a sneaky good game, and he was invisible late. They never gave him the ball. Bridges, who had a bad game, hit a 3. They got a couple of free throws, and they were miraculously only down 13 points at the half. So they were in the game. Then they come out in the third quarter, and you thought, okay. But the next thing you know, they have to call timeout because Indiana hits a couple open threes, and now they're up 16, and you're saying to yourself, 9 minutes left. Knicks are down 16. This does not look good. My 2 main scorers are in foul trouble. Stupid foul after stupid foul. Okay? They can't make a shot. Bridges can't make a shot. Brunson can't make a shot. But all of a sudden, they started to chip away, and they started to do good things. Third quarter, McBride's points in the third quarter were critical. And I thought they got out of there down 10, and I was unhappy with that because Tibbs actually had a 2 for 1, and he didn't put enough offense on the floor. Now, in the second half, Tibbs said, you know what? I'm sick of looking at this defense. I'm sick of looking at Brunson do stupid things and be terrible on defense. I'm sick of looking at Towns be terrible on defense. I'm going to a defensive unit. And he dusted off guys and he gave them a chance. And it's funny because Kenny Smith made a joke at halftime, which was a great line. He said Tibbs wouldn't play 9 guys in a baseball game. And he's right. Okay. He doesn't like to play the bench. Tonight he was forced to play the bench. And then the critical minutes that Knick fans will remember if they ever come back and win this series. And let's be honest, there is still a ton of work to do. A ton of work to do. And the job at Indiana is only half done. They have to win game 4. If you want to win this series, you're going to win game 4. And he goes with Towns, Hart, McBride, Wright, and Shamet. Give those guys the credit, okay? Towns waited to the fourth quarter for his explosion. Robinson had given you yeoman's work. And the thing with Robinson is diminishing returns with the amount of minutes he plays. He comes out like a house of fire, but he tires. The pace of the game is too much for him. He is still a guy who can be a rim protector, but you know what? He got almost all of his 6 points and all of his 6 rebounds in the first 5 minutes of the game when he comes out with a ton of energy. But McBride, 15 minutes, 9 big points, hits 4 free throws, hits big shots, plays fearlessly, plays defense. Underline plays defense. They play defense, the best defense the Knicks have showed in this playoff, where Indiana has killed them the first 3 games. But you know what? Indiana tonight shot 50% in the first half after shooting 50% in the first game and 50% in the second game. And you know what? I don't have the exact calculation, but they shot like 39 or 38% in the second half. The Knicks finally played defense, and they did it by dusting off guys off the bench. So give the credit tonight before we get to Towns and before we get to any of the starters. Give the credit tonight to McBride with the 15 minutes he gave you. Give the credit tonight to Wright, who gave you 13 big minutes off the bench and was gutty and gritty. And give the credit to Shamet, who not only went out there and played 11 minutes and played defense, but was plus 12 in the 11 minutes he was on the floor. Plus 12. That unit did the job because they played defense and they got out of Towns' way on offense. And Towns is an offensive player that when he feels it, you can't stop him no matter what you do. They're unorthodox. They're weird looking shots. He's bombing threes. He's spinning in the lane, but he scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. 20 points, collected rebounds, and didn't kill you on the other end of the floor. And he got hot and he helped lead them to a victory. But tonight, the heroes, their names are Towns, yes, but their names are McBride and Wright and Shamet. He went to the bench. He said, "The hell with this. I got to find someone who can play some defense." And that unit with Hart, who gave you a great second half, who gave you a great second half defensively, gave you a great second half on the board, wound up with 10 rebounds. Towns wound up with 15 rebounds. They got up on the defensive glass. They shut down that glass in the second half, and they finally played some defense, which they haven't done all year. And the Knicks win this game by absolutely killing Indiana in the second half and killing them in the fourth quarter, outscoring them 36-20, holding Indiana to 20 points in the fourth quarter, 42 points in the second half. Defense. Defense. And they won on a night when Brunson, except for a couple of plays late, stunk. And they won on a night where Bridges, except for a couple of baskets here and there, was hideous. I mean, those two combined for they were bad in the first half. I don't think they got much better for the game. Let me give you the finals. Brunson was 6 of 18, and Bridges was 6 of 18. 6 of 18 for Brunson. He went for 10 from the foul line. We know he's going to get to the foul line. He made a couple of plays late, which, you know what, that's his job to do. But he had one assist, 3 turnovers, and missed a ton of shots. And Bridges got 15 points, but he was 6 for 18, and he has got to be so much better in this series. And they have to be so much better on both ends of the floor if they're going to win this game. But you know what? Give Tibbs credit. Now he has gotten pounded in this series. Their collapse in game 1 was awful, okay? He got ripped tonight for changing the lineup, for panicking. He got ripped for matchups that done. He's got ripped for stuff that he has done against Carlisle. He has gotten beat up in this series, but tonight he had conviction, which Tibbs's convictions are defensive. That's his mindset. And he went out there and he put a defensive unit out there with Towns, who's a terrible defensive player. But you got to have a scorer out there, and Towns was your scorer. And they got out of Towns' way and let him run the show. And he went out there and got 20 points, hitting here, there, getting to the foul line, hitting threes, and carrying the offense in that 36 to 20 fourth quarter. But tonight, I hope in that Knick locker room, they are praising to the hilt what Wright did and what Shamet did and what McBride did and what Hart did in the second half because they were the stars. And though OG hit some very big baskets and he kept them in the game in the third quarter. And this is part of the Knicks' problem. You got a guy like OG who's scoring and who is hitting shots and knocking down trays and is shooting the ball well on a night when no one's shooting the ball. 4 for 6 for 3, 6 for 9 from the floor, and they can't get him a look down the stretch. Not one. He didn't touch the ball. Their offense at times is so ill-conceived, it's ridiculous. And they got killed off turnovers. They didn't turn the ball over once in the first quarter. They turned the ball over 14 times for the game. Again, way too much. And those lead to fast break baskets. And at one point, it was 16-0, the fast break baskets. I don't know what it wound up. There were a lot of things to pick at tonight. And you can walk away with a victory, a 106-100, hard fought, gritty, tough victory. And you can say you did it on a night where Bridges was bad and Brunson was bad. And let's be honest, I don't know how long we have to watch the ineptitude of Brunson and Towns on defense. And I don't know how many stupid fouls the two of them are going to commit. I mean, Brunson cannot commit a foul away from the basketball on a player 20, 30 feet from the basket in the first half. He cannot commit a foul against Toppin in the first half. Those are going to add up. He can't commit these ridiculous fouls and let foul trouble dictate his game. And he has got to, and he usually is, but he has got to be a better playmaker than he was tonight. I mean, he didn't make a decent pass in the game. He had 1 assist. Knicks, at one point when I looked up in the first half, had 4 assists. They wound up with 7 because Shamet got a couple in his time in the game in the first half. He got a couple of assists. They wound up with 7 in the first half. That tells you how little they were moving the basketball. In the game, they wound up with 13 assists. Indiana wound up with 21. It just shows you how badly they were moving the offense and how little they did knocking down shots if your name was an OG. Bridges missed so many shots. And let me say this. I have been a huge Bridges supporter. You know that. I think Bridges has a lot of talent, but he has to do more. He has to be better. They can't win. They can't go where they want to go if he doesn't play better than this. He has got to be better than that. He has got to be far more efficient than that. We know in the Celtics series, he made a lot of plays late in games, whether it was baskets, whether it was steals, whether it was great possession play on defense. We know what he can do, but he has got to be better because you know what? He's here to win these kind of games. That's why he's here. and they can't lose sight of the guys who are hot. And this game was won because Tibbs believed and had a conviction that he could put guys on the floor and improve the defense, and that one guy could carry the offensive load, and he did. And he rode that, and I'm sure everyone was screaming, and the announcers were, "Get your guys back in the game. Get your guys back in the game." And he rode that lineup, and he rode it a long way. And that lineup got him back in the game and actually got him the lead. And give Towns credit. Listen, I'm hard on Towns. Sometimes he is as lacking in instincts as he is in defensive prowess. He commits some stupid fouls. He is a bad defensive player. So is Brunson. They're not just weak defensive players, they're bad defensive players. And when you have them both on the floor together, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, in the first 2 games of this series, with the starting unit on the floor, Indiana was averaging 1.5 points per possession. That's like last in the league stuff. That's like, 20 win stuff. That's how bad it is. That's how bad the defense was. And in the second half tonight is the first time because Indiana shot 50% in the first. They didn't shoot well from 3 tonight. And they didn't in the first half, but they shot well again from the floor. They were still over 50% at the half. And they wound up for the game, I think at 44, which means if you do the 44-2, so if you do the math, they had to be down around 38, 39 in the second half. And that's a big improvement. And Indiana was 5 of 25 from 3. The Knicks made 11 threes. They shot 32. And Knicks also made their free throws. And tonight, down the stretch, which didn't happen in game 1, they hit their free throws. So where are we right now? Am I surprised the Knicks won tonight? Not in the least. I actually was more surprised in the first half when they played as badly as they did because I really thought they were going to win this game today. I really was pretty confident that they win this game today because that's who they are. That's who they've been. They have been mentally tough. They have been resilient, and they have been much better on the road. I'm not surprised when they lose in the Garden. I'm not surprised when they win. But now they're only halfway there. You want to win this series against a team that is every bit your equal. It's your equal because of the way their bench plays. I mean, the Knicks have got to figure out what to do in those minutes when McConnell's on the floor because he's killing them. Tonight he played 15 minutes, yeah, and he didn't do much in the second half. But he wasn't on the floor much in the second half. But in his foray in the first half, he completely had just carte blanche to whatever he wanted. He played about 5 minutes and put up 10 points and three assists. And for the game, he put up 12 points and 3 assists in 15 minutes. Their bench scored 15, 17, 25, 27 points. The Knicks bench, with a great second half, and you count Hart on the bench, wound up with 22. It was 23-7 at the half, which means they only got 1 bucket in the second half off the bench. He didn't give McConnell a lot of minutes, and they didn't score a whole lot of points because the Knicks defense in the second half was vastly better, especially in that fourth quarter with that 5, that hero 5 tonight. Towns and Hart and McBride and Shamet and Wright. Yeah, that were the names. McBride and Shamet and Wright. Shamet and Wright. Guys you haven't seen before. Who went out there and did yeoman's work and did a heck of a job and were responsible for this victory. Without them tonight, there's no win. Without that unit tonight and that conviction from the coach, there's no win. No win. And I know Towns is up and down. One game he's got 8 points, next game he's got 34 points. His defense is atrocious. I understand how erratic his game is. And you need him to be more consistent, but it starts with Brunson and Bridges. They have to be a foundation, and they have to be a whole lot better, and that means that they have to have a commitment to this defense. I would shorten. Now listen, he's tried to get as many minutes as he can. He's almost probing to see how many minutes he can play Robinson. There's clearly a diminishing return with him. He comes out of House of Fire. I would try to play him in 6-minute segments, maximum 8, but probably 6-minute segments would be a nice way to go. Because there you can get him enough rest. If you leave him on the floor as they had to for an extended period, and through 3 quarters, he had played 24 minutes, that's a lot. He didn't have to play much in the 4th quarter because it was Towns' quarter, but that's a lot. And remember, most of his statistical damage came in the first 5 minutes of the game. This is one for the bench. This is one for the defense. This is one for the unknowns. The guys, the nameless, faceless guys you haven't ever seen all year. Well, you know what? They did their job tonight. And they overcame what the Knicks didn't get from Brunson and didn't get from Bridges. And in the first half, didn't get from Towns. And in the first half, didn't get from Hart either. But they got it from Hart and Towns in the second half, that's for sure. So where are we? 2 games to 1. Are they back in the series? Hey, they're still down 2 games to 1, and they're still down a game at home. And Indiana is gonna be a whole lot tougher in game 4 than they were in game 3. They weren't very good at some things tonight. Part of that was the Knicks. Part of that is just something that happens with these teams when they have some success. It seems like you get a little bit of fall off in productivity. That's clearly the case with the Knicks. It can be the case with other teams. This has been a very strange playoff. I mean, look at the Oklahoma City series where, every game's a blowout. Game 1, an annihilation. Game 2, a walkover. Game 3, over in the second quarter. I mean, think of a team that's supposed to win a championship in Oklahoma City, heavily favored to win a championship, won 68 games. I don't remember the great Laker teams with Will Chamberlain and Jerry West and Gail Goodrich and Happy Hassan and Jim McMillan getting beat by 40 points in a playoff game. I don't remember the '86 Celtics getting beat by 40 points in a playoff game. I mean, you can lose, but I mean, in these games, these teams get run right out of the building, and it's almost like they waved the white flag in the second quarter. It's very strange. A lot of blowout games, a lot of one-sided games, a lot of blown big leads. You've learned no lead is safe in this league. You've seen it both ways. You've seen a Nick loss that will be legendary. I mean, statistically, it hadn't happened ever in a playoff game. No one ever blown a lead that big in a playoff game, ever. And you saw the Knicks twice come back from being completely out of the game in the Boston Garden. It's been a very strange year in that regard. But the Knicks, their work has only just begun. If they want to win this series, they got to win game 4. Now you can tell me, oh, they can lose game 4 and win the series. That's going to be very difficult to do. If you let Indiana get up 3 games to 1, that's going to be very hard against a team that has some real edges in this series, especially in depth, especially in pace of play, and a lot of confident shooters. And these games are all very, very close. Hard to see one of these teams beat the other 3 times in a row. You want to tell me home court means nothing in the series? All right, prove it. Win game 4. And then we'll see if anybody wins on their home court in the series. You have to, if you're a Knicks fan, believe that they need to come back to the Garden 2-2 if they're going to win this series. 3-1 is going to be a very, very tall order. You want to take it one step at a time, and they did it the hard way tonight. They got down 20. They were down 13. They were down a lot of the game, and they finally wrestled command, and they held on and executed, made their free throws, and got their rebounds, and made their defensive stands. Now they have to turn around and win again. Will it be easy? No. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. Let's be honest. They're better on the road. They're a lot better on the road. The road doesn't bother them one iota. And I don't expect it to bother them in game 4, but they're gonna have to be a lot better than they were tonight, and they're gonna need a lot more out of Brunson and Bridges than they got tonight. That the Knicks get out of that building for game 3, erase a 20-point deficit, erase a 13-point halftime lead, and do it without getting big second halves from Brunson and Bridges is amazing. I wouldn't wanna try it again. But there's something to be said for having the ability to stop the other team. In this series, the Knicks had not been able to stop Indiana at all. They finally shut them down. And that's what I'd hold my hat on tonight. So tonight, as you're celebrating that the Knicks are back in the series, I don't expect you to be confident. If you are, you're really not. You're just trying to act confident because there's still a lot of work to be done. But a toast for Wright and a toast for Shamet and a toast for McBride because they were your heroes tonight. Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it takes more of a roster than you think you have to win a game. Tonight was one of those nights. We'll see you later.